Welcome to your town hall. Having reached the hour of 6:30, I hereby call the meeting to order. Just as a reminder, all of our meetings are taped and YouTubed and all those good things, so everybody smile nicely for the camera. Tonight's invocation will be given by Fire Chaplain Dusty Farmer of the Green Valley Fire District, followed by the pledge by...
The pledge will be done by my son, Porter Egbert, who's a fourth grader at Serena Intermediate School.
Thanks. And what we'll be doing is after we get through that part, I'll be recessing the meeting, and then we're going to have our Rancho Serena Community Facilities District meeting, and then we'll resume our regular meeting. So at this time, Pastor, or Chaplain, sorry.
Let's pray. God, we thank you for tonight. Thank you for the opportunity to gather to discuss the important items of our town. And Father, I just ask that you would put your hand of blessing and covering on this council, as they deliberate over decisions that affect all of us, that God will give them wisdom. Father, I thank you for our rural metro firefighters, our Green Valley firefighters. I ask, God, that you would protect them as they are at work, as they are at home. God, that when they are away, their families would be watched over by you as well. Lord, we thank you for the Serena Police Department. And Father, I would ask that as they go out on their duties every single day, that you go before them and behind them. Father, that you would give them awareness that is beyond their own, that, Lord, you would protect them. And God, I just thank you for those who are here this evening. We ask that as we have gathered together, that God, you would join this time. Father, we would know that you are with us, that you are guiding our decisions. And Father, we also pray for all of those who are deployed and are preparing for deployment. God, I have many friends personally who are currently in harm's way, and so God, I ask that you would, God, comfort them tonight, their families that are home, be with them, protect them. Lord, we need you. We thank you. We ask for your blessing. It's in your name we pray. Amen.
Amen. Thank you.
Please join me in saying the Pledge of Allegiance to the greatest country on earth. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you both for your service. I think I want to return a visit from both of you. So recess, and at this point, I will call the meeting of the Rancho Serena Community Facilities District to order. Madam Clerk, may I have a roll call?
Board Member Bracco.
Here.
Board Member Dahl.
Here.
Board Member Davis.
Here.
Board Member Hicks.
Here.
Board Member Luss.
Here.
Vice Chairperson Egbert.
Here.
Chairperson Murphy.
Here.
Quorum present.
Thank you. Next is call to the public. At this time, any member of the public is invited to address the district board on any issue which is on tonight's agenda, or any issue which the district board can lawfully act upon at a future meeting. Pursuant to Arizona open meeting laws, the district board may not discuss the items that individual members of the district board may respond to criticism made by those who address the district board, may ask staff to review the matter, or may ask the matter to be placed on a future agenda. I have two speaker cards, but they're both for our regular meeting. I have none for the CFD. If there's anybody that would like to address the CFD board, this would be the time. Seeing no motion, I will declare the call of public closed and move to item number 4, which is the consent agenda. I'll entertain a motion.
So moved.
Second. All in favor signify by aye. Aye. Any opposed? We have our consent agenda approved. Next we come to item number 5, Madam Clerk.
Presentation and discussion of the draft feasibility report for the proposed issuance of additional general obligation bonds in an amount not to exceed $3.8 million for the acquisition of public infrastructure and to be paid by an ad valorem tax assessed on all property in the Rancho Serena Community Facilities District.
Thank you. Okay. At this time, I'll have District Manager Udall, if you want to start off and I know we'll have Mark present and maybe a couple of staff members, so you take it.
Thank you, Chairman. That's exactly right. There's going to be a kind of a team approach to the presentation today. No action will be necessary for today's meeting either. But I, with your permission, would like to go ahead and turn over the time to Dan Hockley, the town's attorney, who has the staff report.
Great, thanks. And Mark, before you get to the podium, do you know how to do the button, right, to raise up? No, the podium button. I think so.
If not, ask
If not, we'll have Porter. Mr. Hockley.
Mr. Chairman, members of the board, I'd like to start with sort of a brief overview of CFDs. We've got a couple of new board members and some folks in the audience, so I will try and keep it mercifully short. Give some introductory comments, then we're going to turn it over to Mark Reeder, who will go over the draft feasibility report with you, and then Beth is going to talk about the infrastructure projects that are being proposed. So that's our plan moving forward. The Rancho Suga Community Facilities District was formed a number of years ago. The Community Facilities District is just like a school district or a fire district. The property owners within the district pay property taxes, but instead of going for a fire department or a school, they go toward the payments necessary for public infrastructure. The infrastructure has to be public. It has to be owned by the town and the district. The way this particular one works is that when this district was formed, the property owners, there was only one, the developer, authorized up to $60 million worth of bonds, and then those bonds are sold in small groups. We had the first bond offering of about $5 million a few years ago, and now we have this one for around $3 million. The bonds are repaid by the property owners in the district, but under our agreement with the developer, the taxes paid by the property owners is capped, and it's capped at, including operation and maintenance costs, it's capped at $4.95 per $100 net assessment.
Can you repeat that?
Yeah, one more time. Yeah. Okay. So that's the cap. Well, with not many houses built, that's not enough to make the bond payments. So the developer steps in and is responsible for the bond payments over that amount. So right now in the district, someone who owns a house with a market value of $250,000 pays $675 in district taxes. So we get all that money, and then the shortfall is covered by the developer. If more bonds, if the board issues more bonds at another $3 million, which won't happen tonight, it'll happen at a future meeting, that doesn't increase how much they pay, because their taxes are still capped. What it does is it increases the amount of the standby contribution paid by the developer. It will also extend the length of time that their property will be subject to bonds, because right now, the existing bonds will end 23 years from now, 22 years from now, I think, and these will probably be 25 years. So that's sort of how it works. The current situation here, the district received an application for a feasibility report, which is essentially a request that the district issue bonds. On October 18th, we got an amendment. On October 20th, we got another amendment on November 21st. We came to this board on December 9th. The board authorized the preparation of a feasibility report, and we'll be presenting a draft of that to you tonight. After tonight's meeting, we will be preparing for a public offering on the bonds, doing all the necessary work to prepare lots and lots of paperwork, and then we're hoping to have a bond closing toward the end of March. The week of March 23rd is tentatively planned. The way that'll work, though, is, I left something out. We will come back to you on February 24th, a month from now, and at that meeting, then if you desire, the board will pass a bond resolution, which authorizes the district to buy the bonds and authorizes the district manager to go forth and make it so, and we'll come back to you again. That's the authorization. You'll approve a number of things that night. There'll be an amendment to the development agreement. There'll be a bond authorization. There'll be, I don't remember, there's a number of things that you'll approve. So that's the plan right now. I'm going to have the other presentations, unless any of you have any questions for me.
Do you have any questions right now, or my thought was we kind of hear everything, and if it helps, we can chime in at that point.
Okay? Mark Reeder. He is our financial consultant on this deal.
Good evening, Mr. Reeder. Welcome back. You always usually give us good news, so we like.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman. This is
That little black button to your right hand, right on the top of it.
Right here,
Yep.
right?
Yep, little toggle.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. Good evening. Mark Reeder with Stifel Nicholas, financial advisor, as Mr. Hockley just mentioned, to the Community Facilities District. Dan did a good job of bringing you up to speed on the CFD. I know we have a couple new council members as well. I'm going to walk you through this, most of which you already know, and I know Dan summarized it pretty well. As you know, we formed the district in 2000, I think it was 14 or 15. Dan mentioned that. At the time, we got $60 million in bond authorization. The district's about 943 acres in terms of the land mass. We're going to show you some pictures. There's one up here. It's zoned for about 3,250 residential units with several $1 million of commercial as well. The tax rate that we established back in 2015 was $4.69 per $100 of net limited assessed value, okay, along with a 30-cent maintenance and operation levy, as you recall. So the total tax rate within the boundaries of the district paid for, as Dan mentioned, by the residents who benefit from the public infrastructure is about $4.69. It's been on the books, I think, for 2 years. So the levy is in place as we speak, and obviously in connection with this sale, we'll establish the levy for next budget year, 2021, coming up. Just want to give you a quick reminder of the district. This is really the second phase of the master plan Rancho Cerrito community, which has been very successful down here in Cerrito, and this has taken it to essentially what they refer to as phase 2. As far as the public infrastructure, Dan had mentioned we're probably going to issue somewhere around $3.3 million in bonds to reimburse the developer for the public infrastructure that's either in the ground or will be in the ground soon. Okay, I know this is important to you. I'm not as familiar with the public infrastructure. This is a map. It shows the 3 projects. I'm going to walk you through this in a moment that's currently underway or completed. This is a nice aerial view of the district in the pattern there, and you can see up there in the middle of where the blue lines are is where the public infrastructure is going to be obviously be located as they start to build this out with some pretty significant development progress. On this page here, this is also in the feasibility report. You have a copy in front of you. These are the specific projects the developer has asked for reimbursement. I know you're familiar with most of this. Rancho Cerrito Boulevard Phase 8A road improvements, Cerrito Centerway from Calle Imperial to Rancho Cerrito Boulevard. Both those are about $1.4 million each, as you can see there. And there's a public sewer main extension along the east side of the property line for about $250,000. So this same information is in your feasibility study. As you know, when we do these bond issues, not to bore you too much, but it's our responsibility to make sure that when we put these transactions together, we're very thoughtful with it. And the developer's been they've worked with us very, very well, and they're very, very cooperative. Dan kind of went through how we back these bonds as the project grows and develops. And this is pretty good news here, because this shows you on the right-hand side what the county at the moment is picking up in terms of value. And going into 2021, you can see about $40 million plus in value on the 943 acres that's currently under construction, and up from about $22 million. So the county's picking up the residential units out there. I think there's 75 residential homes complete, is my understanding. And of course, we know the hospital's going in. I drove by it this evening, and it's making some significant progress. So this demonstrates the growth in the property values, which obviously is very important to us as we sell general obligation bonds. This is the same thing. This is our tax levy. It's kind of got the similar chart in terms of the levy at the $4.99 that generates enough revenue for us to repay the bonds, and to the extent there's not the revenue, then the developer stands by, as Dan mentioned. This is the developer's absorption, kind of what they think they're going to sell this year. and over the next 4 years. They've got, as you know, I think 123 lots, is my understanding, sold to 3 public home builders, Lennar, Meritage, and there's one other one that's escaping me, but Richmond American, thank you. So very good public home builders, very experienced home builders that are very excited to be in Sarita and build in Rancho, within the Rancho Sarita CFD. So that's all good news. So we just wanted to share with you what the developer shared with us. Obviously, we'll share this information with investors as we go sell the bond. And the footnote shows that there's about 75 residential units already sold. So far, so good. And then Dan did a good job. This was just really kind of a background slide of basically everything I've mentioned and Dan's mentioned in terms of the tax rate, the bond issue, the size of the bond issue, and really how we're going to back it and some numbers associated with that. So that really kind of concludes my 5 or 10 minute presentation on the PowerPoint. We also handed out to you a draft copy of the feasibility study. I hope you have that. And most of what I just went over with you is in the feasibility study. This is required under the statute whenever we sell bonds for a CFD. And I'll just kind of walk you through here. If you have it on page 1, it just talks about the district and the purpose of the feasibility study. And in the second paragraph down there where it says purpose of feasibility study, it requires us under the statute to include a description of the public infrastructure to be acquired. We just talked about that. I'm going to take you to a table in a moment. A map, which we shared with you in general, the location of the public infrastructure and area to be benefited from the public infrastructure, and an estimate of the cost to acquire and estimate schedule of completion of the public infrastructure, along with a plan of finance. So that's what the statute requires us to do, and that's what we've done here. On page 2, that's got some of the development progress that I just mentioned to you that we think is very, very positive. Page 3 is the slide that I shared with you on the specific projects. It's got a little more detail in there, which we hope is helpful to you in terms of what they're asking for. We got our maps on page 7. Those 3 projects add up to about $3,127,000 in terms of their reimbursement or acquisition by the district. And then 8 is really our financing plan that I discussed. Page 10 is the absorptions that we kind of went over that we got from the developer. Page 11 is the tax rate, the debt structure, if you will, and the tax rate analysis, along with some of the shortfall payments that Mr. Hockley shared with you in column 9. This will all be updated as we come to you here shortly. And then the legal description, which I don't think I'm going to get into unless you want me to. So if you do. So it's got a disclosure form in here. Dan mentioned that. And so really with that, I hope that was helpful. And as Dan said, we're gearing up to come back and meet with you on February 24th, at which time you'll give us the authority to move forward, and we'll move forward expeditiously to meet the time frame requested by the developer. So with that, Mr. Chairman, I'm glad to answer any questions of you or the board.
Thank you. Do you have any questions for Mr. Reeder at this time? No. I guess just one quick question, Mr. Reeder. Quail Creek has a CFD, but they have never gone to the next phase, and this one is. That's just usually typical, isn't it, where you have an offering like the previous approval of the $60 million, and then you come back and you get reauthorization for, as the infrastructure is required. That's nothing out of the ordinary.
Yes, sir.
That's correct. Thank you. Any questions? All right. Thank you, Mr. Uno. Yes, or Mr. Hockley?
Well, Mr. Chairman, thank you, Mark. I just wanted to mention something else I forgot to in my introductory comments, and then Beth is going to get into the 3 projects in more detail. If you were to look at the application for a feasibility report that was filed back in October and November, you would see that the requested amount of the bonds was $3.5 million. And if you look at this, we've got and we reduced that amount by $373. That reduction came about as a result of Herculean efforts by Bath, who looked at the construction estimates and worked with our district engineer and was able to shave some costs off the contingencies in that. Grace did a numbers, found that there was some mistakes in the sales tax that was being estimated, so we were able to bring that number down. And then removing some rounding that was unnecessary, we were able to save the taxpayers $373,000 on this, and hopefully get an amount that is gonna be very close. The idea is that the bid is gonna be for the exact amount of bonds we issue, so that there's no surplus, but there's enough for the developer to get paid for all of the infrastructure. So now, Beth will go over the specific pieces of infrastructure. Thanks. Mr. Chairman, I didn't even mention, the developer also worked with us on getting those numbers down. They were very cooperative. They were really good to work with.
Thanks. We can't move that money to the mayor and council budget, right?
Good evening,
Good
Mr.
evening.
Chair, members of the board. So I'm here to give you a little bit more information about what $3.3 million buys your discerning developer these days. So project number one is Rancho Boulevard, phase 8A improvements. So it starts at the end of the existing Rancho Road, Rancho Boulevard extension. So if you're looking at the map on the screen, that black line, about half of that is already constructed. And it'll take you through 8A, so through that blue dashed line is this next phase that they're looking to construct. And they're going to, the improvements include grading, subgrade, 3-lane roadway cross-section, which I've included a picture up here. It's for people that don't understand what a 3-lane cross-section is. It's like La Cañada, where you have one lane of traffic in each direction with that center left turn lane. Curbs, 8-foot sidewalks, including handicap ramps on both sides of the road, drainage, a concrete arch structure, including decorative masonry columns. And again, I've included another picture. This is actually on Rancho Boulevard on the northern section, where we have all those drainage crossings. That's what that improvement that they're talking about is. Sidewalk, landscaping, sewer improvements, curb cuts to adjacent parcels, regulatory signage, and striping. So that's that first phase. Anybody have any questions? So the second phase is the extension of Sorritas and Array from Calle Imperial to Rancho Boulevard. And again, this starts approximately, well, it starts at the end of Rancho and Array and kind of cuts straight across. I don't know if any of you remember the original plat. There used to be kind of like a windy, curved piece at the end here, and we worked really hard with the developer to kind of find a way to provide better access for those commercial parcels, and make it more of a transition from that commercial to the school zone. That's why you see that roundabout right there. So it's, again, the improvements are grading, subgrade materials, a 2-lane roadway cross-section with approximately 50 parallel parking spaces, curbs, sidewalks, handicap ramps on both sides of the road, drainage. Again, another drainage structure with decorative masonry, landscape improvement, and public sewer improvements, signage and striping. I've included a picture. This is actually a Rincon Market. That's sort of what the parallel parking will look like. It has that setback from the road, so it's not the parallel parking that's right on the side of the road, and when you open your door, you're afraid that a cyclist or another car is going to drive into it. So there's a 3-foot kind of buffer setback between the parallel parking and actually the road, the travel lane. So that's what is part of this improvement with the roundabout transition that kind of takes you out of the commercial and back into the school area and tying back into Calle Imperial.
Can I ask you a question on the sand-colored asphalt? I remember from some years back that there were some issues with maintaining that. We were in trouble maintaining the color, and it was costing more. I'm a little concerned that we put that in here, the maintenance on this will be increased. Is that true?
It depends on where you put it and how it's used. We actually had this discussion recently when we were talking about town center, and I was actually showing some examples of a project that I did street print on back in the 90s, that when I was showing people the pictures, they couldn't believe that it was over 20 years old, that's the street print, and that was in an area that had snow and snow plows and things like that. I think where you have to be cognizant is where you have things like, such as this sewer, so you don't have a manhole right in the middle of an area that might have street print. So it's not long as it's not the painted print. So there's a difference to that too, where they put like a, kind of like the bike lane,
Right.
where they use the green, and that's different than printed asphalt.
You don't see this as a higher maintenance cost long-term?
If we do it correctly and use it in the correct locations, we shouldn't have a problem with it.
Chairman Mayor Murphy? Chairman Mayor Murphy.
Just say-
Who determines where it goes? Like you just said, it depends, is this the developer that decides where it goes, or does the town, or do you guys work together to
We'll work
decide?
together on that, as you, the plan right here, that's really just a concept plan.
Okay, so
It's not a formal
who
design
makes
plan.
that decision, final decision then?
As we go through, it actually comes through planning and building, and between planning, building, and public works, and all those reviews with the developer, we'll make those determinations
Okay,
as the project goes forward.
thank you.
Mayor, Chairman,
Yes.
I just have a question, just before it's asked by somebody else. We have plenty of room for bikes.
Yes.
Okay, and the other thing, is that circle designed and engineered on the basis of future traffic loads? Or just existing traffic loads, the roundabout?
Yes. Actually, we have had them for every, submission, they update their traffic report. And I don't know if any of you are familiar with the new roundabout that went up in Oro Valley. They have they call them mini roundabout, that this is kind of modeled after that.
The La Posada operation, I'm not off topic here. The La Posada operation works so efficiently with the traffic lights. I know we don't want traffic lights in there, but I'm not a fan of roundabouts for heavy traffic either. I just don't want us to build a future problem in terms of too many vehicles trying to use a limited space.
I don't think that'll be an issue here. That's actually one of the reasons we moved it. We were originally thinking about maybe having it a little further to the east, but this is actually the entrance. It'll be, it's kind of one of the main entrances for the commercial. As you come more east, we don't want to encourage like the heavy traffic, the heavy vehicle traffic, because that's the area of the school, and we have a lot of small children in that area. So we want to kind of make it clear to people that, oh, this is where the commercial is, and kind of past this is where the school district is.
Oh, trust me.
So it's almost like a warning of sign.
Right, and it makes people slow down and kind of be cognizant of, okay, what just changed?
Right.
Yeah.
Chairman Murphy?
Yes.
I got it down. Okay, the other thing I have, since we're talking about this topic, I'm concerned about the CFD paying for parking spaces. It's my understanding that CFDs are really for roads, sewers, public parks potentially, those type of things. Parking's usually for users and buildings that are gonna be using it. I'm concerned as to why the CFD, the residents that are gonna have to pay for this for over 20-some years are paying for parking spaces on a road. Can we strike that and the developer go ahead and pay for it if they want the parking on there, but not have the CFD pay for it?
It's an option.
So that's allowed then? I just wanna make sure that we can say we accept that this is a great idea, but we don't want the CFD to pay for parking spaces.
But public parking, wouldn't that be considered?
The first response, I think, is that it's public parking. They can't, the adjacent user will get credit for those parking spaces. So if I buy a parcel and I need 50 parking spaces for what I'm putting in there, and I've got 5 on the street, but I only need 45 parking spaces. But that user cannot put signage up saying parking for my business only. They're public parking spaces.
Okay.
So they do qualify as public infrastructure since they're public parking. To answer your question, I've not seen that done before, but it could be done. As part of the bidding process, we would
Remove that.
bid that as an alternate or something. And then the CFD funds would essentially, making legal terms, the CFD funds would match the amount excluding the cost of parking.
My concern is I know that the developer has shared with their dream of different areas, and we believe that on the Sarita Center Way, and now it's a school that has that on-street parking, which people associate being a parking lot, but it's a street. And so I have a hard time saying we should have more on-street parking when we do not know what the end user will be, and I have a hard time having the CFD pay for it when it's something we may not even want based on what the end user will be. Because I think anybody that drives down that street feels that that street with that on-site parking at the school is dangerous. and it's just waiting for a kid to be hit, because people think it's a parking lot. They treat it as a parking lot, and yet it's a street that is now gonna become a thoroughfare. And so that's where my concerns with the CFD paying for the parking spot.
May I jump in as well? I have two concerns. One, is this such a long stretch that we couldn't have a public parking lot as opposed to on-street parking? I look at that picture and I see every town I ever grew up in. It's not aesthetically pleasing, as far as I'm concerned, to the overall architecture of the town to see on-street parking. Usually, parking is a more controlled thing even today. So, aside from the other issue, why couldn't a parking lot be included in this design as opposed to 50 on-street parking spaces?
Mr. Chairman, Board Member Lusk, because either the developer would need to be willing to build a public parking lot, which he probably won't, or we would need to acquire the land for a public parking lot. So I think, because these are presumably going to be private businesses, I think the plan is that they will provide the necessary parking for their business.
Because they still don't have they're not off the hook for providing their own parking for their businesses as they come in for permits. Mr. Udall, I know you're trying to get in.
So I've looked at this as well, and I initially had a lot of concern and a lot of questions when it came to parallel parking and parking right off the street. One, it will not be the same as what we are seeing over here at the school. I think that's something that we never want to repeat, and we've made that very clear. And I don't think that's what this will do. Two, if they don't have the parking along the street, that means that parking will have to be inside then of a building footprint. So they come in with whatever building's going to be built, and then they have a number of parking requirements. If those parking requirements are taking up more space, that means less building, because they have limited land on which to put all this stuff on. And my understanding is that the space that they have available now is needed for building users. Yeah. So this was a way for all of it to kind of work together. So if you still have the concern of on-street parking, we can go back to the developer, we can look at that, see what that might mean to them. This is a perfect example why we're having this meeting now, because this is an interim meeting. It's an update. It's an opportunity for us to touch base with you to see what you think about this. If you would like us to, we can certainly go back. We can wrestle with this with the developer and see what we can come up with for the meeting on the 24th. But I think that this is why you're seeing what you're seeing. Staff has also wrestled with this because we were a little bit uncomfortable because of the example that we see out there. I am comfortable now with the on-street parking myself, but that doesn't mean that we couldn't take this back and work with the developers and see what other concepts are out there, if that's the desire of the county.
It's undoubtedly not going to happen, but I would appreciate your bringing it up, because again, I think that it's a setback in terms of what the town is trying to look like and what we're trying to achieve in the new town center. It, to me, reminds me of an old retail lot that isn't old.
And I agree, I want to echo Les' concerns too.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes.
or Mr. Chairman. Sorry.
Always.
So is it along the entire roadway, the new portion of that roadway, Beth, or is it?
So it's the two stretches immediately adjacent to the roundabout. And actually, when the description was written of the improvements, this description mirrors what came in with the CFD feasibility study, there were probably close to 50 spaces. The design that you see there has gone through some iterations with the developer's engineer, and I think they were down to about 36 spaces, and there were still some issues. We want to make sure that those spaces are handicap accessible, which means they'll probably lose a few more. We were very cognizant of the issues that we have on the existing section of Starlight Centerway, which is why we went to the parallel with the buffer, because of, potential for, again, small children getting in their cars, bikes, things along those lines, that you're not just getting out into traffic, so you don't have that parking lot feel. It also does give you those wider lanes for the cyclists to feel comfortable on, things along those lines. So we were trying to, I guess, strike a happy medium between the two desires, and also having it be walkable commercial, that you're not just going to one business and then getting back in your car to drive across the street to go to the next business, that you could in theory park, do on-street parking and do all your shopping from foot.
Can I just follow up really quick? I'm so sorry. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, Beth, and that does, and I guess that's why I'm a little confused, because I feel like we're trying to create this area or this space where we can have that connectivity. And I don't see, I'm picturing in my mind other places that have the walkable shopping and restaurants and things like that, and nearly all of them have on-street parking, and not a ton of them, and as long as it's done well. So I guess I would just need to see some other samples maybe, because that really isn't aesthetically the building's not. That's obviously not what the building's gonna look like either.
Right.
So I think it's a poor, and I'm not, no offense, but it's not a very good example of what it might look like, so.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
my understanding is that the parallel parking zone and the driving test, will anybody be able to use that?
Having a 16-year-old take the driving test in 2 weeks, it is not part of the driving test.
Well, that's why you take them to practice, and it's not.
And thanks, Beth, for pointing that out, because I was comfortable with the buffer zone, because that's kind of where I grew up. But I didn't want, I don't know, I didn't want people thinking, probably use that example of the parallel parking, not of the architecture and the building and those types of things, correct?
They do actually have this parking in Sedona as well,
Right.
but I didn't want to use a picture of
Scottsdale.
Sedona, because I felt that was kind of like too far away, because like, oh, well, that's not here, so
Right.
this is prettier, but this is Tucson, so.
Do I understand that I heard 50 10-foot spaces initially, you're now down to 37?
I think we were down to 36 at the last revision, and I think there's going to be a few more that get lost, because we want to make sure that the on-street parking is handicap accessible.
Okay, well, I would still have my concerns to be discussed at least, because I'm thinking about future, not past, in design and construction. That's just me.
Mr. Chairman? Yep.
I have two questions, actually.
Yep.
Well, number one, I think we need to have some parking like that. Like she said, if we want to encourage businesses to come there, we have to do something. You can't have people parking in a parking lot a block away. That doesn't make sense. But with the roundabout, and you're looking at like an entrance to the north and the south, is that going to be a road, or is that going to be like a business access?
Those are the business access, that'll be the access into the business's parking lot.
Okay.
And the shopping areas, and whatever commercial comes in those locations.
Thank you. Mr. Rossi, did you want to, I know he's.
2 minutes.
Yeah.
Chairman, can we just let Beth
Oh, yeah,
finish,
I'm
and
sorry.
then let him rebuttal,
Yep.
or add any additional?
So the last one's actually very simple and straightforward. It's, about 1,000 feet of 15-inch sewer main that will serve the residential development south of the new Ransom Ridge Gatorade School. PVC sewer main, manholes, steel casing under a wash, and, engineering, survey, and everything else that goes along with design and construction. So these ones are relatively.
Thanks for that picture. I don't think I've ever actually seen, you always talk about sewer all the time, and the manhole, and the pipes and things. Well, I think it's interesting to see actually what the sustainment is like.
It's better to see it before as opposed to.
Yeah. And certainly not the after. Are you finished?
Yes.
Okay, great, thanks. Mr. Rossi, did you want to?
Very briefly.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a presentation, that's what it's for.
Council members, Michael Rossi on behalf of the Rent Facility Development Company, and we have had a very good working interaction with the town staff, talking about all aspects of the roadway. Possibly if we can put the picture back up. Yes. And as Councilmember Dahl mentioned, in this picture, That's really not what it's going to look like at all. It's a great representation to show the setback. But this really is the model of modern urban town center design. If you go up to the town square in the town of Gilbert, and it's gorgeous, and it's amazing, and I would encourage you to all go up and look at it. There's on-street parking. The businesses, and this is all commercial, and it's going to be a real commercial medical office center. There will be additional parking and parking lots on site. Those are private, those are entirely at the developer's cost. Those business owners can regulate parking. This is public parking, this is for businesses to have spaces right in front of them. Go up and look at Kierland Commons, go up and look at DC Ranch, go up and look at Verado. These are the premier projects. Highest end, higher dollar, highest assessed value in the state of Arizona. And this is leading edge design, not full design. So it's an important component of the project to us. The exact number, we've worked closely with staff. There were some that they felt were too close to the intersections, too close to the driveways. Our engineer worked with your engineer, agreed with that, took them out. Making some of these handicapped accessible, we both think is very important. So we're going to take a few more out, but it really does contribute in a positive way, not a negative way, to the look and the feel of this area. It's not a giant part of the deal, but it's important to us. It's something a lot of thought has gone into, but they are not the kind of angled spaces you have over here. We heard that loud and clear from every member of the staff. We won't even talk to you if you're talking about that. So we worked together on this design. We're pretty proud of it. We think it's going to look pretty amazing. This company works pretty hard at doing things that are at a pretty high architectural and design level. And that was just to give you some of the rationale for why they exist and what we were thinking.
I appreciate it, and I appreciate your definition of leading edge. It's not mine, but nevertheless, you're doing it, and that's yours to do. It's a good opportunity for the town as well, because I think there's a real opportunity there. I'm suggesting we put parking meters out. No? Oh, come on.
Chairman, Mr. Russey, I guess staff, the closeness of the parking lot to the roundabout, I'm assuming there's quite a leeway that there's not going to be parking near the roundabout, where people are going to get confused as they get closer to it. I would hate to add an additional barrier of having cars. So I'm assuming there's great space between where the roundabout starts and where the parking begins.
There is. Actually, that was one of the comments on the last go-around, is making sure that we have all the site distances and everything else, that no one is coming out of a roundabout into somebody trying to get it out.
Okay, that's why I can't keep
Mr.
that
Mayor,
picture, and I
Councilmember,
wanted.
exactly. That's why the number has gone down.
That's what I figured I'd do.
At all of those
Absolutely,
locations,
yeah.
absolutely.
Thank you.
Yeah, and it's been very constructive, really, on the entire roadway design, the look and feel of it. The roundabout, all of those, a very interactive process with the whole town staff, and it's been very positive.
Mr. Ross, I have one more thing for you. I was recently up in St. George, Utah at Christmas time, and the roundabouts have electricity in them, so at Christmas time, they can be decorated on the inside. There's the electricity in the middle of that roundabout. Something to think about, just put in your head. It's really beautiful to go roundabout when it's decorated beautifully in the center with electricity.
Mr. Mayor, Councilmember Egbert, there are engineering issues with the mini roundabout, so I'm not gonna
Just something I
comment one
noticed.
way or
It was
another.
beautiful.
If your town staff wants something in the middle of that or not,
Just something to
not
think
further
about.
expensive to do, but there may be engineering, sight line, other safety
Yeah.
considerations.
I just thought I would
With
put
great
it
big
out there.
roundabouts, it's fabulous. You
Yeah.
can put the park-
And I have no
Beyond.
concept of how big that is, but I thought I'd put it out there,
Just a
since it's
little
gonna be
small.
one of our first, will it be our first roundabout in the town of Sarita? Anyway, thought I would share it.
Councilmember, thank you very much. Council members, happy to answer any other questions. I wasn't planning to talk. Thank you very much for your time today.
Any other questions? So other than giving Chairman Locke his dedicated parking space, Mr. Chairman? Yes.
Beth has one more thing to add.
Oh, I'm sorry.
And then I kind of skipped over the fact that they are putting in the traffic signal.
Yeah.
It's going out at that intersection as well. So we could, in theory, pull electric from that signal if there's enough space to the roundabout.
And Mr. Udall, I know you want to say something, but this really kind of, when we had the last go around the road and the dog leg and all that, this was kind of what we desired, right, as a town, as the ultimate engineering for it, with the light and more of a straight road and those types of things. Did you have anything you wanted to add?
I just want to be clear on council's direction on this, so that when we come back on the 24th, we can get the proper approvals that we need. So, what I'm hearing is that maybe a little bit more information to come back to alleviate some of the concerns of the council on this parking. For example, maybe distance from
The
the roundabout, maybe the look and feel of it, maybe it's a little different from this picture up here, for aesthetics and those kind of things that the council has concerns about. Was there anything?
I'm not in the majority, so don't worry about my concerns.
I was gonna mention that.
I'm trying to be more sensitive.
No, that's all right, I know you're not sensitive. So please just go ahead and proceed, and if you are able to do a few twists, fine.
Thank you.
I think I got it.
Yes. Great. Thanks for all. Having no more further business on the Rancho Suita CFD, we'll adjourn that meeting, and we'll come back to our regular meeting, and Madam Clerk, may I have a roll call?
Councilmember Bracco.
Here.
Councilmember Dahl.
Here.
Councilmember Davis.
Here.
Councilmember Hicks.
Here.
Councilmember Lush.
Here.
Vice Mayor Egbert.
I'm going to be absent, actually. I got word that my daughter was in a car accident, my oldest. No injuries,
okay.
no injuries. But I wanted to be here for CFD, but I am going to without for this meeting because these guys will do a fantastic job without me. So my apologies, but I'm going to go ahead and family
Mayor Murphy.
Present.
Quorum present.
Thanks. Well, it's hard to believe our first meeting of the year, so it's actually a Happy New Year meeting. And we're going to start it off with a couple of celebrations. Pleased to announce the 2019 Town of Sahuarita Employee Awards to recipients of the Above and Beyond and Manager's Choice Employee Excellence Awards. The Above and Beyond Award recognizes employees who go above and beyond in addition to the regular job duties. Nominations take into consideration any of the following performances or contributions made by the employee that is being nominated: continued and repeated job excellence, extraordinary problem solving, innovative idea implementation, actions promoting positive recognition of the town, exceptional support, process improvement, or cost savings. The nominations were reviewed for relevancy to the 5 focus areas of the strategic plan, and we're going to be talking about the strategic plan a little bit later. And the Acela implementation team, which included Mr. Mark Rio, Ms. Orlanthia Henderson, Ms. Charlene Schreckrath, and Ms. Vanessa Valles from our Planning and Building Department, and Mr. Jorge Rodriguez from our Finance Department, received Above and Beyond Employee Award for providing exceptional support during the implementation of the town's planning and development review software. Congratulations. Will the Acela implementation team please join me at the podium? Congratulations, member on the So this is really, oh, okay. So this is the awards that they were given. We're obviously thank you for everything that you continually do for the town. I've heard a little bit about the software rollout, and it sounded like it wasn't very easy, and a lot of work went into it. We're going to do a picture, but, and afterwards, if any one of you or all of you would like to say something, feel free, but you don't have to, okay? particular work?
Just briefly, this is the first time that we have ever awarded this to a team, for a team effort. And let me tell you that this software was very complex. And you're looking at three very smart people right down there to figure it out, and then to figure out how to implement it such that it provides value and a great service to our building community. So, for service to the town. So again, well-deserved, and good job, you guys.
Thank you again. Thanks for your service to the community. The second award is the Manager's Choice Award. The Manager's Choice Program is a town-wide employee recognition program that acknowledges superior performance by employees. Nominations for the award can come from any employee, member of the community, or the town manager. Employees are nominated for special achievement and superior performance in the areas of safe practices and wellness, customer service, special accomplishments, heroism, volunteerism, and ingenuity. The nominations were reviewed for relevancy in the 5 focus areas of the strategic plan, and the wastewater utility billing team, another team award, which included Sheila Dow, Ms. Abby Hernandez, and Ms. Suzette Stotts from our Public Works Department, received the Manager's Choice Award for their efficient and professional transition of the wastewater billing and customer service functions from finance to Public Works. Congratulations and thank you, and if, who's here tonight? Yep. Why don't you come up, and I think I never called a complaint, did I? No. Get rid of that. Thank you. Congratulations. And this is actually the Manager's Choice Award, so I go back up. Mr. Udall, would you like to say a couple words on that one?
Thank you, Mayor, while you're walking back up. Yes, once again, a team award. We have such a fantastic employee base, and these guys work together to solve real problems in real time. This is a great example of that, where billing is difficult, and it's very best. Billing is difficult. You work with a lot of people that have a lot of questions, and sometimes they're not the nicest in the way that they deliver their message of their confusion, and so these guys get to deal with that. But it's more than that, because they set up processes that make sense, and processes that cut time and help us be more efficient. And so this is the team that did that. And again, my congratulations to them for, again, great service to the community.
Thank you. We're moving on to item number 6, which is approval of the agenda. I'll entertain a motion.
So moved. Second.
Thanks. All in favor, signify by aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Our agenda is approved for this evening. Next, we have item number 7, which is called for public. At this time, any member of the public is invited to address the town council on any issue which is on tonight's consent agenda, or any issue which the town council can lawfully act upon at a future meeting. Pursuant to Arizona open meeting laws, the council may not discuss the items, but individual members of the council may respond to criticism made by those who have addressed the council, may ask staff to review the matter, or may ask that the matter be placed on a future agenda. And I have 2 this evening. The first one, pen pencil, from the Salarita Food Bank, I am assuming. That's why you're here this evening.
One of them. Good evening, Mr. Mayor.
Good evening.
And members of the council. I'm actually wearing 2 hats tonight. One hat is for the Salarita Food Bank and Community Resource Center, and I'm really bringing messages of gratitude and also an invitation. This town has continued to support very important activities of the food bank, of the Salarita Food Bank. One is our backpack program to the tune of $10,000 this year. Yeah, you get a little choked up thinking about it. And also for emergency food, we share that grant, which is $37,000, with the Community Food Bank Green Valley Resource Center. And we get our proportional share based on the folks served. So thank you for that. As I think many of you know, we are planning a new building. And this building is designed to meet increased need for food, increased need for support services to help our clients and others become more economically stable and more economically secure, which is a benefit to not only them, but the entire community. And this building is slated to begin no later than July 1st. We've been very pleased with our interactions with the planning department and other departments of the town. We really appreciate the collaborative approach that you all take. And it's very important. It makes it so much more pleasant to be building a facility. And I would like to invite all of you to join us at our public campaign kickoff, which will be February 7th from 4 to 6:30 at Rancho Sahuarito's Clubhouse, La Villita Room. Thanks to Jeremy Sharp for allowing us to use the room. I'm not here anymore, but thanks, Jeremy. And please join us. I have flyers which I will leave on the back table. And do an RSVP so we can feed you. Otherwise, there may not be enough. My second hat is very briefly about the Better Together Southern Arizona Coalition, of which many members of the town and of the town's government and staff are involved. And Mayor Murphy, Vice Mayor Egbert, Assistant Manager Terry Bankhead, Sarah Moore, who else is in here that's participating? I think that's it. This is a coalition whose objective is to improve the quality of life for all members of our community. And it's truly very, very collaborative. And we are moving ahead as an organization. We've been very virtual. No real structure, wonderful collaboration, but no real structure. We are incorporating with a board of directors, and we are very thankful to the town for and to you, Manager Udall, for a stipend of about $1,000 to support our board formation, and particularly insurance, D&O insurance, so the members of the town will not have exposure by virtue of your association with this, and also to build a website and host it. And then finally, if I may have your permission to just comment on the strategic plan for 30 seconds.
Sure.
The strategic plan, and one that was worked on by the council and by staff, includes a really important issue, which is workforce housing. We are finding more and more in our whole region that housing is unaffordable for many working folks who want to live in our community, want to be close to work. And the fact that the town has taken this on as a strategic objective is really a very important move. And I want to thank all of you for that on behalf of our Better Together planning team and all members of that group. It will benefit the individuals in this community and also will contribute to economic development because we'll actually have businesses, we'll have workers. Thank you so much.
Thanks for being here. And if you consider doing the breaking ground on July 4th, we can just give all the credit for the fireworks.
Well, we could probably talk about that. Thank you all very much.
Thank you. And next we have Suzanne Preisman. A return visitor.
Mayor Murphy and Sahuarito Town Council, it's a pleasure to be here tonight to let you know that the Women of Quail Creek is providing our scholarships again this year. Just a wee bit of history, we started back in 2016 with two $1,000 scholarships. And this year, we are awarding not only two scholarships, one at Sahuarito High School and at Walden Grove, but six what we call Women in Transition. Women who are over the age of 21 who perhaps did not get to start their education when they finished high school or it was interrupted. And last year we presented 5, this year we will have 6. The average age is between 30, last year 35, the oldest was 50 years of age. So it's very heartwarming to see these women going back to school because education is the key, as we all know. Well, as I said, in 2016 we started with 2 scholarships, and as of 2019 we have awarded 18 scholarships at the high school level and for women in transition to the tune of $27,500. And this year, due to the generosity of our community of Sahuarito, to just the wonderful people who live in this area, we're able to raise these funds. This year, we raised over $19,000 for the calendar year to go for scholarships. And so we want to let you know that the applications are now ready. They're on site, Women of Quail Creek. The ones for the high school level are due April the 16th. For Women in Transition, they are due March 16th. So go online and you'll find them there. So we, again, want to thank you all for your support and getting the word out to our young ladies and our older women.
Thank you. And you distributed flyers, I think, right?
I did, yes.
That will get to us.
I did.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Mr. Mayor?
Yes.
Real quick, I have a question. Is it all just for universities, or is there also trade schools allowed for any of
I'm
those,
glad you asked.
especially for the
Right.
others?
For our high school students, in 2019, in fact, we decided that we really wanted to recognize those students who are good students, but only wanted to go to the 2-year level, get certified, maybe go to vocational school, technical school, and then decide to go on. And these are students who don't get recognized. So we did change that it's got to be a 2-year degree or vocational technical at the high school level. For the Women in Transition, it could be at any level, but it's more cost effective certainly at the 2-year college level. Pima Community College has been wonderful to work with, and we've been very proud of that collaboration.
Good, thank you.
Great. Thank you. Thank you for being here and all the hard work of Women of Quail Creek. I know a couple men from Quail Creek. They don't work nearly as hard. That's all I had for the call to the public. Is anyone else like to address the council? If not, I'll declare the call to the public closed. And now we come to council and town manager brief summary of current events, but since we didn't have a meeting for about the last month and a half or so, it may not be so brief, but Mr. Udall, would you like to start us off on going all the way back to mid-December? You have to scroll, it's happening.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. I'll continue to be brief, though, even though it's been that long time. I hope everybody's had a chance to drive out on La Cañada and look at the progress of our Santec building. It's fun to see. That's an important project for the town because of what it represents as the start of a tech park out there, and also an opportunity to bring in high-paying, quality tech jobs. And so that's what those bricks and mortar that you see represent ultimately. If you haven't had a chance, please do go out there and look at that. Another thing that I wanted to talk about, of course, was the census work that's going on.
Thank you.
You bet. Are you going to cover?
No, you go ahead. No, I covered enough. You go ahead.
So our Sahuarita Complete Count Committee has been working extremely hard on getting messaging out to our community, the importance of being counted in this year's census. And so beginning March 12th, you'll begin to see things come in your mail. We want to emphasize the importance of filling that information out and mailing it back in so that every resident here in the town is counted. A lot of advertising, a lot of work, a lot of collaboration with our partners in this, of which I am very grateful for that as well. Speaking of that, we're very blessed in this community to have multiple partnerships. I thank Penny for getting up and talking about Better Together. I think that's one of those. That staff supports that, but it's actually led by members of our community and by Penny in particular. But what a great effort that is. That's spun off into a lot of very important objectives that the town has. We talked about one of those was affordable housing or workforce housing. We continue to work really hard on the concepts contained within Sahuarita Square. You're seeing more and more information being rolled out on that. You'll see, I think there's been a couple or maybe more little Facebook, I'm not sure what you call them, videos or what you call them. Yeah, not really up on the deck there. But you'll see Terry there explaining a little bit about the Sawati Square and telling us where we can go for more information. But that'll be coming out more and more. And so we ask our community to pay attention to this information that's coming out, because ultimately we're going to need support from the community on that project. But that contains a lot of different elements to it that are really critical for our future. I think I'll end my report there unless there's any questions.
Any questions for Mr. Udall? I'll entertain.
Mr. Mayor?
Yes, sir.
First, let me just congratulate our roads department. The La Posada crossing is just an excellent example of how roads can be improved. And I've been through there at busy times and less busy times, and people flow through there like water instead of like ice. So it's really, really done a great job there. The one thing that I wanted to mention is on Friday, February 7th. February 7th is a very popular day.
Yes, it is.
On February 7th, at Quail Creek, we're having something we call Discover Quail Creek, which is an opportunity for our residents to meet and talk with regional groups and, of course, clubs and so forth in Quail Creek. But almost half of the tables that will be present, there will be about 75 groups there. About half of those are regional groups. They represent an opportunity for you if you're interested. For instance, the Santa Cruz Hospital will be there, and so will our new Northwest Hospital, both represented there for questions. We'll have a session on the census. Census will be there. Thank you, Terry. And then there will be others that go on there as well. And I wanted to make it clear that this is a public event. It's not just for Quail Creek. So if you have questions, we're trying to get a Rotary Club thought about here in Sahuarita. The Rotary Club will be there, and of course the other groups, fire, police, and so on. So it is for you. It's an opportunity to sit down and talk with people, and it's from 8:30 to 3:30 on the 7th. And for those people wearing sneakers, I'll understand that you need to leave at 3:15. And other than that, I'm going to have a special table there all by myself, and it's going to be, any of you interested in knowing what cutting-edge parking is, please come in, and we'll have a special session on that. Thank you. Mayor, thank you.
Anything to my right? No? Well, first of all, thanks for all the staff that's in attendance, and for Kelly. We, finished up our 25th year celebration, and we had a lot of additional events over that 25 years. That couldn't have been done without the additional Herculean support of all of our town staff. We probably doubled, tripled what we were typically doing because of that. And part of that is the Winter Festival. I hope a lot of you could have made that. It was just one of those wonderful signature events that the town hosts. You can see some remnants. The lights are still up, which I like. I don't know if we can keep them up all year, but it really came out nice. I wanted to thank Melanie Tracy over at Rancho Resort. We had our annual Police Department Appreciation Awards night, another great event, and they're always so kind to help our police department over there, and they do a lot of hard work. And thanks, Chief, for, it's just quite an event on all of the awards that are given out. I didn't realize until that night, just during that little hiatus, how many people were saved by our police department during the holiday season. And one of the other things that I noticed there were how many more people were getting their badge, their ribbon for education, and I know that was through the efforts of Mr. Udall and staff to try to increase the availability for our staff members to further their education, and it was pronounced that evening, so people are actually taking advantage of it. A couple of us were there for a couple of retirements, Pam Little from our planning department, long-term employee, and Lieutenant Sam Almodovar, 34 years in law enforcement, pretty amazing. But with that comes great new people that come in, so I'm excited about that. Reminder that on February 6th at Animax and February 11th here, we'll be breaking ground on the new library pretty soon, and part of that is a 1% public art that goes into that. So the artist I think we'll be at both of them, but I know the committee will be there to try to get input from our residents on what they'd like to see as part of that. So we'll probably be pushing out some more information to the community about those two events. So please come in and weigh in. Had a great business expo with Green Valley Sahuarita Chamber of Commerce. Kudos to you, Randy, for putting on another great event. I was going to mention the light at La Posada, but I've had so much positive comments on 7:30 was usually the worst time, people going from Madeira Islands down to the light stop sign before going to Continental. I was there multiple times at 7:30 in the morning. Literally, I either had nobody in front of me to turn left or one car, which is just unbelievable from the time. And our last thing was, congratulations to Councilmember Bracco for turning 39 yesterday. I might have lied a little bit on one of the speeches, but it was his birthday. Again and again and again at 39. So thanks for everybody being here. And again and again. And we're looking forward to a great 26th year and continuing on as we move on into the future. Next is item number 9, which is the consent agenda. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Any discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Consent agenda is approved, and now we come to item number 10. Madam Clerk.
Discussion and possible appointments to the Parks and Recreation Commission and Board of Adjustment.
Thank you. First, Councilmember Hicks, would you like to introduce your nominee and say anything you'd like?
Good. Gina Anderson, she's in the audience tonight. Gina, she probably looks familiar to many people, but she also was one of our community members who put in for our council member seat earlier. And I'm thankful that you came back and you still want to participate. And Gina's been around for a long time. She's lived in the town. She's got children she raised in the town. She worked side by side with Lynn Skelton, former council member and mayor of the town, and they remain good friends today. She's been very active in the community. We look forward to her sitting on the board for the Parks and Rec Commission, and she was very excited when I contacted her, so we do appreciate it. And I didn't know, Gina, if you would like to...
We didn't think you had to approve her.
Oh, we have to. So...
Not so bad.
Do I make my...
Yes.
Motion now? Okay. I move to appoint Gina Anderson to the Parks and Recreation Commission to fill an unexpired term ending June 30th, 2020.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
See, I was too dangerous. I didn't want you to say anything. That way you would have maybe said something. Would you like to stand up and...
I just actually want to thank you. I'm really excited about this nomination, and I look forward to plugging in. And I've really put my ear to the ground in the community, and I look forward to letting that out to you. So thank you, Councilman Melissa Hicks.
Well, thank you for your willingness to serve.
Yeah.
And now, Councilmember Bracco, birthday boy.
Yes, I'd like to introduce Bobby Wilson. He's lived in the town for over 7 years. He's a retired lawyer and law professor. He's volunteers at the Friends in Need, does IRS tax preparation. He's the vice chair of the Republican Legislative District 2. And he's got 2 years of serving on the Planning and Zoning Board in a city in Texas. So Bobby's also a good friend, and I want to introduce him.
Thank you, Bobby. Thank you. Do you want to make a motion at this point?
I move to appoint Robert Wilson to the Board of Adjustment to fill an unexpired term ending June 30th, 2020.
Second.
Any discussion? The whole lawyer thing, I'm not...
He's a recovering lawyer.
Oh, okay, I get it. All those in favor signify by aye. Aye. Welcome, and if you'd like to say a couple of words, we'd love to hear
Well,
from you.
as Bill said, I'm a retired lawyer and a professor of law, and I did serve 2 years on a planning and zoning board in a little town in Texas that's very similar to Sahuarita. It had the same population and everything, so I have a background in that. And I'm honored, very honored to be chosen by your esteemed group here to serve your community, and I assure you I will do a good job.
Thank you for your service. Thank you, both of you.
Consolidated Strategic Plan 2020 through 2025.
Thank you. And Ms. Vanghead will be presenting. Ms. Stewart, did you want to say anything to start with?
I can never pass up an opportunity to talk about strategic plan, and so, just briefly, you all know how I feel about these types of plans.
They have a 12-step program.
I'll tell you, this literally is the foundation for everything that we do in the town. We need to be strategic. It's important for us to be strategic, to allocate our resources in a way that we are completely in control of, so that we know those resources are going to the very best efforts and goals and, in this case, focus areas that we know of. And so this is what this plan represents, is thoughtful output of important resources that the public count on us to use in the very best way that we can. And so this is a 5-year strategic plan, a little different than the ones we've had before. We are wrapping up our previous one. Most of those projects are now complete, or they roll over into this new plan. New thoughts are contained in this new strategic plan. I can assure you, just like I did with the other one, that when I come to the council, in council meetings and in other proposals, budgets and such, that we are contemplating completely the things that are contained in the strategic plan, so that we are fulfilling the obligation and commitment that we've promised to staff to council and council to community of the things that are contained in this plan. So with that, again, with your permission, Terry has the staff report for the strategic plan.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Udo. Good evening, Mr. Mayor,
Good
members of the
evening.
council. I'd like to first take you through just a little bit of background on the strategic plan before I get into the nuts and bolts of the 2020 to 2025. There have been 3 iterations of the strategic plan. The first one was devised back in 2014 and spanned those 3 years, as you see there, to 2017. It was revised in 2016, and that is the one that we have been currently operating under. And that covers the 3 years up to 2019, and the new one, as Mr. Udall said, will be a little different, and that is like a 5-year strategic plan. So that will cover the 2020 to 2025. The new plan, as you know, was developed by you, council, and our executive management team this past October. There are 5 aims of the plan, and these have remained consistent from the very beginning. The 5 aims of the plan are to provide strategic direction, guide the use of resources, set standards of excellence, cope with environmental uncertainty and change, and provide an objective basis for control and evaluation. And the strategic plan is a factor in all of our decision-making, our staff evaluations, and our resource allocation. The strategic plan is about fundamental decisions and actions, because choices must be made in order to answer who we are, what we do, why we do it, where we want to go, and how we will get there in the future. And again, these fundamentals have carried us through into this 3rd iteration that we are now talking about tonight. Last October, through a planning retreat with council and the executive management team, the plan was developed with the help of Nicole Lance and Eric Bailey, who make up the consultant team Extraordinary Balance, and they specialize in this type of strategic planning for municipalities and have done this across the state. They first walked us through the steps of creating the plan using the SMART CF. And this involves learning the principles of human understanding, identifying focus areas, defining focus areas, and creating SMART SIA goals for each focus area. And SMART SIA stands for specific, measurable, attainable, relevant, and timely. Seemingly impossible, yet achievable, or SIA. And I think we can all attest that we were challenged a lot on creating a number of these areas and goals, because many of them did seem seemingly impossible, yet achievable. The consultants then took us through a results-oriented statement exercise, or the ROSE, and they challenged us to answer some very important questions. Why now? What is present in the external environment that makes right now the time to do something meaningful? And why us? Why is Sarita uniquely positioned to do something meaningful right now? What's new? What would need to change for us to be wildly successful? And why? How our community benefits from the efforts. The outcome of that was the town of Sarita Rose. Sarita is at an exciting crossroads with an energy to promote positive change. We need to capitalize on our financial position, organizational effectiveness, community involvement, and geographical location through innovative and managed risk. We're creating change through economic expansion, community development, and smart growth. We foster an inclusive community with a unique identity where our residents can start, grow, and enjoy life. The final result was a 5-year strategic plan, 2020 to 2025. As I mentioned, this was a different approach than before, in that the strategic plan is 5 years. It is a policy tool to guide council and management in the planning and execution of the town and departmental focus areas and goals. And what's different with this plan is that the action items that we've had in the past were developed into a separate action plan. So before you tonight, we have the strategic plan, which has the focus areas and the goals over those 5 years. That is for your consideration and adoption tonight. The action plan is not in front of you tonight. That is a 1-year plan that is meant to be dynamic, and that's a tool for staff to have attainable actions for us to continue to work on each year throughout these 5 years in support of the strategic plan. Again, we have 5 focus areas as we have in the past. However, those focus areas have changed. Some of them might look similar to what we've had previously. But the new 5 focus areas are economic expansion and placemaking, outreach and communication, infrastructure, community well-being, and a highly performing organization. And I did not list all the goals up there for you, and there's multiple goals under each of those focus areas. So what are our next steps with our strategic plan in order to continue to advance our reporting? We'll continue to track the progress. We currently utilize software called Invisio, and we put quarterly reports out on our website for our residents to see how we're doing on that. We've used that for a number of years, but this year we're looking to add a new element to how we do this. And what you see up here is an example. This is the dashboard. This is the city of Scottsdale. A number of communities are using the Invisio dashboard now, and we are looking to implement this April. If the adoption occurs tonight and we're able to move forward with that. The dashboard is designed to be a public interface, really, of our strategic plan, and it will allow us to bring an added level of transparency to our community. So you don't have to wait for a quarterly PDF of the report to get posted and put out on social media. This will be more interactive. So you can click on one of those focus areas and it will pull up where we are on our strategic plan status. We are also able to add in a couple of new elements that we do not currently have, and one of those would be to show what our actual performance metrics are on those. So you can click onto one of those and you can dive down deeper into those elements. And it will be mobile friendly. So for those of you that really want to know and you're on the run and you've got your phone, you can check it out wherever you are. The dashboard, it won't look like this. We will work with Invisio to be able to design this however we want it to look like for us. And we really think that this is going to be a great addition to what we're currently doing with our strategic plan.
Terry?
Yeah, I do. I'm sorry. Is it okay that we ask questions?
Absolutely, because there we go. That concludes our report.
Apparently, that's unusual. So the dashboard, that's great. I mean, it looks really good in concept. However, would each of those focus areas have a different person that would respond? If you said it's interactive, so I'm assuming that questions could be asked, raised, and somebody would have to respond back to a community member? Councilmember
Hicks, my apology. When I meant interactive, I meant that you could click on it and get more real-time data.
Okay.
Right, so there will not be, a staff person who will be tending to it.
Okay.
But certainly, I mean, we'll have it available for anybody to be able to reach out to me in particular to, if they have questions about our strategic plan. I'm one of the administrators.
Okay. All right, thank you.
Yeah, no, the visuals, the interactiveness of that, where they can learn more, I think is, very important, and will certainly connect us in, with the rest of our community, so I think it's a really great idea. Ms. Judo?
Based upon the recommendation of Councilmember Dahl, we have actually implemented a way for the community to ask us direct questions as well.
Right.
And they can find that on our website. Can they get that mobile? I'm not sure. Anyway, they can find that on our website and just simply ask the question. So it pertains to this, it pertains to any question that they may have, and we monitor that, and we promise to get back to them, I think, within 24 hours or sooner, on any questions they may pose pertaining to the town.
Right. No, and I appreciate, the fact that when we have our green sheets, background information, how you always attribute how many of the strategic planning goals that, get attributed to whatever action that we're talking about or issue that we're talking about. So, we develop it, but obviously we turn it over to staff to implement, on a daily basis. So I think that's been very helpful over the past. Any other questions? If not, thanks for a great presentation. Appreciate it.
Yes.
And all the efforts that you did for the 2 days, and we were down at Quail Creek putting that on. Entertain a motion at this time?
Mr. Mayor?
Yes, sir.
Move to adopt the Town of Surrey Strategic Plan 2020 to 2025.
Second.
Any further discussion? All those in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Having no further business, we are adjourned. Have a great night.